Have I got news for you? It's the FA Cup final tomorrow, and now it's time to hand you over to your host Gary Lineker for a satirical roundup of the week's news.
Good evening, welcome to Have I Got News For You? I'm Gary Lineker. In the news this week, in Essex, one passenger takes the easy option after foolishly asking a taxi driver for his opinions on Brexit. On his way to Crufts, one impatient driver gets stuck in a traffic jam. And as Russia apologises for its part in the doping scandal, trials begin with the only clean athletes left in the country. So let's find out how the teams line up. Captain Ian Hislop plays on the right if the government's on the left, and on the left if the government's on the right. And on Ian's team tonight is a comedian who says he appears on stage with nothing planned other than about 4 random words on a piece of scrap paper. So Britain's answer to Donald Trump. Please welcome Ross Noble. And their opponents tonight. Captain Paul Merton, like Jamie Vardy, who started off in an amateur steelworkers team. Paul kicked off his career with a CSE in metalwork. On his team tonight is a journalist who won Celebrity Mastermind in a performance that reminded me of Alan Shearer. No passes. Please welcome Samira Ahmed. And we start with the bigger stories of the week. Paul and Samira, take a look at this.
Yeah. Oh, yes, Boris Johnson clearly never ever used an iron or ever seen anyone use an iron. That's Michael Heseltine with a vision of the future. And that's George Osborne's birthday party. This is what's going to happen if we don't vote in or out, depending on who's telling you.
Boris says basically if we stay, it'll be like Hitler, and Heseltine says it's obscene and racist, possibly, and a bit mad. And so
Boris has got a touch of the Ken Livingstone's Tourette's. So if Hitler. It's like in the playground, if you're losing an argument, you say, "You're Hitler." That's what he would have done, Hitler.
That's what they did at Oxford, did they?
They did.
Things we miss out on.
I think there's a thing about hair in there as well.
There's a lot of hair.
I think there's
Yeah, Hitler.
Congratulations, that's the first time that joke's been broadcast on the BBC since 1942.
This is the continuing kerfuffle over the EU referendum. Michael Heseltine and Boris Johnson do have other things in common, don't they?
He was also someone who thought he was going to be Prime Minister.
Yes.
Like Boris.
Imagine if Boris becomes Prime Minister and Trump becomes President. Can you imagine, just on a windy day, what that's going to look like? It's just going to be like... just swirling.
After all the talk of Hitler, how did David Cameron bring a sense of perspective to the debate?
World War III.
No, he upped it from World War III.
World War IV?
ISIS. He said ISIS would like it if we left.
Well, he said that Vladimir Putin and the leader of the Islamic State would vote with Boris.
That's going to be a photo opportunity on the morning, isn't it? All that jihadis there.
What do the Leave campaign see as their dream scenario?
Now, that must be bubonic plague.
Boris Johnson and Nigel Farage on the same platform is their dream scenario. Apparently, a source from the Grassroots Out campaign has said, if we can get them together, we think that Boris and Nigel would make an irresistible force, like the X-Men. Speaking of which, what special powers did Boris appear to gain this week?
He went home. At the time his wife was expecting him.
Don't be ridiculous. Well, Alistair Hyam on Twitter thinks he may have been watching too much Star Wars. Watch how Boris deals with this cameraman. There you go.
That's scary.
Yeah, that really is. Yeah. For the first time, I'm actually frightened.
What is Boris doing here?
He was angle grinding this week, wasn't he?
Was he?
He was, yeah. he was basically...
Just a bit of gossip, or do you...
No, he was on an angle grinder, and I'm not referring to a dating site.
That is a giant cheque. I think he's trying to make the point that Europe, you waste £350 million a week. But actually, that doesn't include the rebate or any of the money that the EU pays us back. So this figure is not true. But he doesn't mind. But they were burning it in a giant fire to say, hey, your money's going up in metaphors.
Yes, he is burning a cheque for £350 million in a furnace, which is what Man United may as well have done this season. It's supposed to represent the amount
Don't explain that to those two. They've got no idea.
No, we'll pick it up.
It's football.
Yeah, it's the
Football
Alan Shearer
thing,
joke. Very funny. No, it's
There was a thing, wasn't it, with that Leicester lot, wasn't it? They did well, didn't they?
As you mention it, they did all right.
Yeah. I didn't watch the parades on telly. I followed it on the internet. You could track Danny Simpson's tag just online. People getting off doing community service. Tricky.
Just as well where you come from, innit?
Oh, there we go.
Anyway, back to business.
Your crisps are shit.
Where were we? Yes, Ian,
we were just raising the level of the debate.
Indeed. Let's get back to the EU, the exciting EU.
Yes.
Boris Johnson, here he is discussing the details in typical fashion with ITV's Tom Bradby.
Let's deal with your arguments. One of them is on the side of this bus. We sent 350 million to Europe. We don't, and you know we don't. No, we don't, and you know we don't. Admit that that figure is grotesquely misleading at best.
I won't.
Do you see that he sat on a report into London's air pollution problems and that some of the worst polluted areas in London are most deprived?
Yes, I mean, he commissioned the report, and it didn't say what he wanted, so quite rightly, he sat on it. Do you have a problem with that?
Yeah. Just nice to have the other side of Boris to be brought out.
Absolutely, no.
This is the calm, measured debate over Britain's EU membership, which in the last few days has featured Hitler, ISIS and World War III. Michael Heseltine has accused Boris Johnson of damaging his leadership hopes by making a string of preposterous statements. The intervention sent shockwaves through Westminster as people realised that Michael Heseltine was still alive. There was good news for the Remain camp this week when a new poll gave them a 4% lead. Although there are plenty of people who don't want to be in Europe, I saw 11 of them playing for Liverpool on Wednesday.
Anything?
Very good.
Very good.
Ian and Ross, take a look at this.
That's the Queen's
Shiny thing there.
Queen's speech.
In a coach. Oh, hello. What's going on there?
Her Majesty's pleasure, people being locked up.
Yeah.
I think this is the contents of the Queen's speech, which were quite short. There wasn't a great deal there. She basically said, I'll see you after the referendum.
But, you know, it was always nice to watch an old woman in very heavy clothing.
Yeah.
You know. It's always a bit of fun, isn't it? Put a massive, heavy thing on her and a big crown.
Yeah.
And then, go on, love, get up them stairs. You know, it's a sort of like a sparkly, it's a knockout.
And she reads the sort of cards very well. I mean, we could have her on here. I think she'd do it brilliantly if we put them on vellum.
What's vellum?
It's a cross between Valium and helium. So it relaxes you, but you do float away. And that's why she has to wear all the heavy clothes. Because otherwise she's off, you know.
Gone.
See, yeah.
It is the 65th Queen's speech at the state opening of Parliament. What did Justice Secretary Michael Gove's... what fingerprints did he have all over it?
Well, there's some quite sensible prison reform measures, which, you know, might happen. Well, they might not. They might do a U-turn and bring the Queen back and say, my government won't be doing any of this.
Because now all prisons, they all have to become academies. That's the plan. Yeah.
What is being proposed under the Star Trek bill in the Queen's speech?
Oh, is that the spaceport? The Cornwall spaceport. That's the thing that lets it down slightly. Spaceport in Cornwall.
Where is the new intergalactic Gatwick likely to be built?
Gatwick.
And if it's the intergalactic Gatwick, there'll be a row about it, and it might be the intergalactic Heathrow. Thank you very much.
But then there'll be a special suggestion of Boris Space Island. Which will be like in Thunderbirds, floating like a giant blonde thatch that opens like a big rocket comes out. He's standing there with his angle grinder.
Thunderbirds are Gove.
It's Newquay in Cornwall. Although, as the Sun pointed out, the 6-hour drive from London to Newquay would take the same time as the trip from Newquay to the International Space Station. What had the Queen watched for several hours earlier in the week?
It was the Queen's life, all with...
Told with horses.
Told with horses. I'll tell you what, right?
Horse saying, I remember the day she became Queen.
But there were 900 horses there. The entire mounted police from Canada came in. Where were those ones who did the tricks from?
Azerbaijanis or something?
Yeah, they were good.
And the thing about it is, I mean, like I said, I'm not like a massive royalist, but I was just thinking, like, I love Prince Harry, right? I think he's brilliant, probably for all the wrong reasons. And I thought it would be amazing if he one day ended up as king, because to have his life acted out by horses. Could you imagine?
The mountain deck narrated with Sir Alan Titchmarsh. Is he Sir Alan?
No, surely not.
Oh, sorry. Alan Titchmarsh.
Ow.
Al.
Yeah. He was only there because he was going to take the manure. He wasn't in the lineup. He was stood there with a bucket like that. He was like, do you want a night out? No, I'm fine. Get me a shovel.
Yes, it was a special gala for Her Majesty's 90th birthday. The evening was hosted by Anton Deck. This guy was there.
Was he the King of Bahrain?
No, King of Bahrain. I thought it was Super Mario. I thought he was just... he thought there was a princess in danger.
That photograph does look like she's holding up a face of him, doesn't it?
That's the human rights abuser and close friend of the royal family, King Hamad of Bahrain.
Yeah.
What's he looking at there? What's happened?
Oh, I think the Bahraini police did a baton charge. Mounted. It was fantastic. Quite bloody.
There was actually an unexpected explosion during the performance, which was
Shetland.
so loud it almost made Princess Beatrice look up from her phone. But not quite.
It's good. Another horse.
Back to government news. What does smoked haddock, pilaf, a cheese and ham omelette and fruit cobbler have in common?
They all want us to leave Europe.
Say them again?
Yeah, say them again.
Smoked haddock.
Generation Go smoked haddock.
Pilaf. Actually, I think that's smoked haddock pilaf.
Didn't he play for Spain?
Keep going.
A cheese and ham omelette and fruit cobbler have in
Oh,
common.
I know.
You know.
Yeah.
What do they have in common?
Fruit.
Come on, think about it.
They were all recipes
Yes.
on the BBC's website. That... What, have you tried some of them?
There's a huge outrage over the BBC supposedly taking some recipes offline when you could buy a book. This theory that the BBC just putting them on its commercial arm where they were maybe planning to do it all along.
It was the anger that people had. It was like the BBC went, we're going to dangle Mary Berry by the ankles off a multi-storey car park.
What will I do without the recipe? I mean, Nigella's avocado on toast. I've got the toast, I've got the avocado. What do I do? I mean, I don't know how it works. Well,
Here's what to do, right? Pick the ones you like.
Yeah.
Print them out. Shut your face.
Just quickly, while we're on the subject of television, what happened on Countdown this week?
Rude word. It's got to be a rude word. It's always a rude word.
Was it bumhole?
There's no need for that. I only asked a question. Yeah, well, there it is. Evidence, yeah.
what, did that just come up?
Yeah. And ironically, if you use the X, Bumhole X is actually a website.
This week, the BBC responded to the government's white paper and has begun the process of removing any content that is regarded as pointless and
Unbelievable.
There's also been a row over recipes on the BBC website. Sources at the BBC include bolognese, carbonara and pesto, although I think he's just joined ITV. So, on to round two, the randomiser of news. Fingers on buzzers, teams.
This was the bomb hoax. They were doing an exercise for fake bombs, and then they found it wasn't cleared away, and then they blew it up, despite the fact that it had a sticker on it that said, "This is a fake bomb." But they blew it up just in case it was like a clever double bluff. Because that's what the ISIS, they do that. They'll write, "This is fine. Just leave it." Yeah.
Looking at the picture there, though, it's quite surprising that nobody saw it earlier, isn't it?
Yeah. And also they were testing to see whether the sniffer dogs, you know, tests, and they didn't find it. So what does that tell us about how good the sniffer dogs are that they were using?
But there wasn't any explosive in it, that's why they didn't find it.
Well, why did they hide it then? So they just hid a bomb that didn't have anything in it.
Could have been just the organiser going to the toilet, putting it down.
Yeah, no, that's true. We've all left a fake bomb in a toilet.
Security expert Christopher Reid had run a training exercise for sniffer dogs in which he hid 14 dummy bombs around Old Trafford. But when it came to collecting the bombs, it turns out Chris overlooked one crucial dummy, himself.
He left his phone number on the bomb. So
Would you be brave enough to ring that number, though? Oh, here's this thing, looks like a bomb. Call this number. Oh. Yeah.
It's like an ISIS chat line.
50-50.
Yeah,
Do you want to meet jihadis in your area?
How did the police deal with the bomb?
They said the bomb was drunk and it was his own fault for being there.
Well, according to the Daily Mail, the bomb was dealt with in a controlled explosion, as opposed to the uncontrolled explosion, which took place when whoever found it opened the toilet door. In happier football news, why were 240,000 Leicester fans on the street this week?
Because homelessness in Leicester has gone through the roof.
They're very happy.
Yes, delirious.
Yeah, because they've won.
What did they win, Ian?
They've won the thing.
What is the thing called?
They won the Premiership. I know this.
Premier League.
You're not allowed to call it the Premiership, am I right?
Why aren't you allowed to call it the Premiership?
Well, they changed... it was one of those branding things. They changed it quite a few years ago.
Right, I see.
And they get a little bit upset.
The Premiership's now called Sir David Attenborough.
Yes, they were celebrating Leicester's extraordinary success. There was a performance, actually, from local band Kasabian, a gospel choir singing football songs, and, of course, superfan Lee Jobber with his top off.
Oh, yeah.
I see he's mimicking the trophy from behind by the bulges. Bloody hell. They might get relegated next year. That'd be funny, wouldn't it?
Don't you have to present without your clothes on?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
She's very keen.
Yeah, I can't wait.
But are you actually going to do it?
Yeah.
Well, you'll have to wait and see, won't you?
Here's an idea. Why don't you get that fat bloke to stand in front of you?
Perfect.
Let's do that.
Perfect. This is the fake bomb that caused a Premier League game at Old Trafford to be suspended. Thousands of disappointed Manchester United fans left Old Trafford without having seen their team play any football again. The boss of the security firm responsible has had little sympathy for making such a glaring mistake, although he did receive one call of support from the former head of listening out for drilling noises at Hatton Garden. Meanwhile, someone called Leicester was celebrating winning the Premier League with an open-top bus parade through the city. According to the Mirror, some Leicester fans were swinging from lampposts. Sadly, so were some Tottenham fans. Fingers on buzzers, teams. Here's the next one.
Yeah, that was a bit much.
Oh, sorry.
This is students who, for health and safety reasons, aren't allowed to throw their mortarboards up into the air.
And they're going to put them all in afterwards. You just act it out.
If you must have had, in your time, I bet you've had a spinning mortarboard fly towards you, like a ninja throw star.
If anyone ever dared do that, Ian's butler would have caught it straight away.
It's a great bit where you throw it up in the air.
Is it?
But don't look at me like that. You know I've not been to university. That was horrible the way you did that. It's a great bit, Ross. Is it? Did you throw your chunks in the air when you got your 5-metre swimming certificate?
This is the news that students graduating from the University of East Anglia will no longer be able to throw their mortarboards in the air due to health and safety.
How many people have been hit?
Can't be many, can it?
No, and by that stage, you're not meant to be able to feel it.
What did Louisa Baldwin, Student Law Society president, have to say about it all?
I've got more board in my neck! Get to my neck! Pull it out! Into that.
Yeah. Close. She said, if I've paid £45 to hire a bit of cloth and card for the day, I should be able to chuck my hat in the air. Yeah. She added, it's not worse than dodging bottles as they're lobbed across the student union dance floor. Graduates have been told to mime a throwing action and the mortarboards will be photoshopped in later. According to The Times, they will be charged £8 for the service, angering students who will now leave university with a debt of £40,008. There was also disappointment this week for West Ham fans who've been told from now on just to mime a throwing action and the bottles will be photoshopped in later. Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication Village People. The Village People magazine advertises places to holiday in Norfolk, although don't believe them when they say that it's fun to stay at the YMCA. And we start with Queen spotted in what?
Dick.
What?
It's one of those recipes.
Queen... Well, I think you want to clear that one up. We're not talking about Princess Margaret here, you know.
That's the knighthood gone, here's what?
Phew.
Is it Queen spotted in the same way as a leopard?
Yeah.
Nice top.
Yes, Queen spotted in nice top.
That's a good news
The
story.
wrong answer.
Yeah.
The answer is Queen was spotted in a puddle in Wales. A care worker, Linda Hoff, was putting out the washing when she spotted a perfect outline of the Queen's head in a damp patch on the floor.
Her head appears to be on a stake.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's a rather Republican puddle.
Yes.
Next, Old Stinker what in Hull?
Old Stinker is the most popular aftershave.
Old Stinker is the luckiest Labrador in Hull.
No.
No?
But you're getting
Old
closer,
Stinker
a lot
is-
closer.
Old Stinker is the unluckiest Labrador in Hull.
Old Stinker, terrifying residents in Hull. Recent sightings of a werewolf in Hull. How did you not know that?
I've been put down to fabrication.
Recent sightings of a werewolf in Hull are thought to be a mythical local beast known as Old Stinker.
It's going to be a great film, though. American Werewolf in Hull.
What have you done with your waistcoats? It's all ripped down the back, Arnold. I don't know. Every time there's a full moon, I've got to buy you a new jacket.
Next, you can spot a Norfolk what anywhere?
You can spot a Norfolk village anywhere in Norfolk.
Turkey.
Turkey.
No.
That was mean.
You can spot a Norfolk clock anywhere. This is an article from Village People about the unique characteristics of local clocks. Norfolk clocks are easy to identify as their hands have an extra finger. And finally, study finds people will what for chocolate?
Give you their password.
Spot on.
Yeah.
Study finds people will reveal their password for chocolate.
What?
Yeah.
What?
It's not me.
Imagine what they'll do for Christmas.
So the final scores are Ian and Ross have 9 points and Paul and Samira have 3 points.
That's all right, don't worry.
But before we go, there's just time for the caption competition.
I think the guy on the left there is just going, and I've got a secret lady's leg that comes out the side. You know, for catching the shoplifters that can run really fast.
They're not very good policemen, actually, because, as you pointed out, that guy on the left with the leg coming out, he's got a burglar standing right behind him. Who couldn't make it more obvious, he's wearing the traditional striped... He's either that or French. Either way, it's worth arresting him and finding out. That's what I say.
And I leave you with news that at an optician's in Bromley, one customer is delighted that for the first time ever, he'll finally be able to see the postman. At Watford Arts Centre, the news that no one has bought any tickets is finally broken to the star of Dumbo the ballet. And as speculation continues over TV football presenters appearing in just their underwear, Jose Mourinho joins the debate. Good night.
From Oscar-nominated writer Nick Hornby, a funny and affectionate adaptation of a bestseller next on BBC One, Love, Nina, the Living Nanny. And get another fix of topical satire tonight in a new series on BBC Two. From the team behind QI comes No Such Thing as the News at 11:05.